Hello, everybody. Welcome to Stat Check episode 19. Ymyr-ly, a 60% win rate, or as I will refuse to ever acknowledge it again, this is horse time. Horse time with
Horse
your boy.
time.
Little did we all know we were all going to be horse girls all along.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Dude,
man.
you know you're horse famous. Anyway, hi, I'm Innes. This is Anthony and Nathan. They are also here. I'm having a time, guys. Hi, and welcome to the show.
Episode 19, the My Little Pony edition. Is that what's going on? That's what's happening
No,
today?
no.
Definitely
no.
not. That's clearly for episode. I don't know, like I don't know any My Little Pony related numbers to be like. For that,
Episode 400. Yeah.
Right.
That's when we make
so what
the
you're
one joke.
Anthony, you know your proclivity for making bets that you fuck around on and then
Shut
find
up.
out on. So what you're saying is in oh God, that's a long time away though. That's like
Yeah.
That's a
like
long
8 years
time,
away. Like in 8 years' time, when like the third generation of hosts for this show, because we've passed the torch on to people who enjoy 40K, are recording episode 400. You have to go on and talk about My Little Ponies.
All right.
It's just almost 8 years. It's fine.
I'll do it.
Innes, you'll barely be an adult in 8 years, so it's great.
What's your excuse?
I'll be fucking ancient. I don't fucking know what
He
you
will
want from
be.
me, Innes.
Anyway, hello everybody and welcome to the show. We're ostensibly here to talk about 40K in some capacity, which I promise we'll get to at some point. But yeah, this is Stat Check. This is episode 19. I'm still confused we made it this far. Next week's episode 20. We should probably do something cool for that. We won't, but we should. Thank you for being with us.
Episode what,
We are
20?
gonna.
Episode
We stopped at 20 on Fight
23 will be
Club.
the free fly?
We stopped at 20 on Fight Club, so
We gotta at least make it to 21 episodes.
yeah, we gotta get to 21 and then we're done, guys. Sorry, we're out.
That'll be the last one.
No, we are far too financially tied to this.
Sure.
You're not wrong.
So yeah, we're going to talk about 40K. There's been some things happening recently. We've seen the first results out of Votan, like with the full codex. I think they won a GT as well. We have seen a bunch of stuff for Guard now. We mostly have the codex in hand. I assume Anthony's played like 45 games with it or seen people play 45,000 games with it. Yeah, and then also I did an RTT. I don't know if you guys did anything this weekend, but we'll get into it. So, how you guys been? How's your weeks?
Should I go first? I'll go first.
Sure, that's usually how these formats work.
I don't know.
Somebody talk.
Never. I have been assembling more guard stuff all weekend, so I've got a bunch of Vansar gangers that I'm converting into Casterkin, essentially.
Fucking bandwagoners.
I've been working on this army for like 3 months, just very slowly.
Pre-bandwagoner.
That's much fairer. I pre-bandwagoned onto this army real hardcore.
You bought it knowing there was going to be a decent chance it was broken.
You're not 100% wrong there. So I've been doing that. I've got a bunch of tanks that I'm painting, assembling an Octoblade too, even though I probably will never really use it.
An Octoblade being...
Oh, a Baneblade that's magnetized for all 8 variants that come out of the box, I guess. Since there are
Right,
8 different Beyblade variants, and you can magnetize one kit to make 8. I mean, yeah, also never underestimate the sheer desire of making vroom vroom noises with tanks and going pew pew at the tabletop. It's great. Also, I've got Ambots. The whole idea of the Guard Army is that it's Necromunda themed, essentially, at this point.
Bye, Anthony.
So
We'll see you in a minute.
everybody's kind of supplied from a different gang. So we've got Ambots as Bulgrin, Vansar supplied Casterkin, that kind of stuff. So we lost Anthony for a second. He's coming back.
He's back. He's violent. It's Anthony Violence.
Yeah, we did it.
Configuration.
And that's it for my weekend. Just guard assembly line, which makes sense. That's how it happens.
It's on theme, I suppose.
It is. It's very on theme.
Anthony, how about
Anthony,
yourself, if you're not lagging still.
What'd you say?
How's your week been?
How was my week? My week was pretty good. I've been fighting internet issues, so that's been fun, as you can tell. Aside from that, it's pretty good. I'm looking forward to an RTT next weekend.
Okay, will you take a bile? I
Bile.
think you did bile, right?
Yeah, creation's bile. 30 possessed, or 28, something like that. A lot of possessed.
Whatever you can fit. And
Which is
kitchen sink.
essentially the part that I want my opponent to focus on and not the stuff behind it. Look at the possessed.
What's going behind it then?
4 smash characters.
Which 4? So I'm assuming the ubiquitous Ignore Your Impulse Prince and Abaddon and Master of Executions?
It's Abaddon, Disco, Demon Prince, Master of Executions. They
Disco
all have relic
Demon
weapons
Prince
and warlord
is
traits.
aggressive. That is a lot of CP going on random garbage.
Start on 0.
The best place to start. Sorry, guys, that's going to keep happening. Apologies. I am having a minor asthma flare up. It's great. As for myself, I had grand designs of like playing a practice day with Brian, and then on Thursday, someone was like, "We got a ticket to an RTT. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Sure. What's the details?" 1750 charity tournament, and I went, "Cool. 18 flamers."
It is bringing 18 flamers to a charity tournament.
And I had to cut 3 of them to make it fit into 1750 because I don't know how to write a 1750 list. So I just wrote a 2K list and shaved stuff until it worked. Turns out, if you take out all the scoring from a 3 big guys demon list, you don't score very well. Who'd have thought? But anyway, I ended up playing like weirdly competitive lists. So I played Brian in the second round on Golf Pressure. And then in the third round, I played against Abaddon and 9 War Dogs. And I'm pretty sure you get Abaddon and 10 at 2K. So I don't know what he was missing, but it didn't feel like much. It certainly just felt like I had one-shot one of them, and then we were playing a 2K game, and I had 250 points less scoring. It's super weird. But I ended up scraping my way through to 3 wins of that one and winning another little RTT, which always feels nice. It's nice to just go and find another little local area that doesn't know me and assert dominance to make sure they all know I'm better than them still. Bye, Anthony. Hi, Anthony. Bye, Anthony. I'm assuming that's going to happen as well. This is the technical and physical difficulties episode, I think.
Apparently, we've angered the Votan, is what I've been told. We've angered
the machine gods by me deciding to intentionally draw my TTS game this week.
I'll wave some incense over my router.
Mine's down there somewhere. That little black box under the phone.
I do have some incense. I'll just wave it over it.
I got a can of deodorant. I don't think it needs that. I feel like that might work.
The holy Febreze.
Yeah, it's more like Axe body spray, but
oh no, it is.
No, I'm being, it's called Lynx over here.
That's not better. That is.
It's really not, is it?
Same time.
Shall we roll swiftly on to the stats while we wait for Anthony? As you might have noticed, by the way, guys, we have a thumbnail now. I made them. It's cool. You can see like the stats and stuff in the thumbnail of the YouTube video. Oh, one more thing. I went on a YouTube video on Sunday with Call to Arms. We did a battle report of Terrorists versus Chaos Knights. You can see that on Call to Arms on YouTube. Their logo's like a red background with a horn and the words Call to Arms on it. You should check that out. It was good fun. It's good to see some more content creators in the Scottish space. They've had some of my teammates on. They've had Simon in the past, a friend of ours, Adam, as well. So if you want to check them out and say that we sent them your way, that would be great because I would love to go back. Right. Stats.
Cool. So we had 14 events this weekend, which is actually a lot of events, all things considered.
Too many tournaments.
So we have something around 1,600 games that were played over the weekend of 40K at GT-sized events. So 5 rounds are big. 5 rounds, 25-plus player events, which is what we track. We shouldn't get too worked up about this data, though, even though there are 1,600 games worth of data and 14 events. But it is interesting, and there are a few things that I kind of wanted to pull out this week that we wanted to talk about. One of them is that Votan is coming fully online, and their win rate has gone from in the 50s to in the 60s. And then some factions that we all think and have been told are dead have apparently not been dead this whole time and are ready to wreak vengeance upon everyone.
No, that doesn't sound right. Once they're dead, and they can't change, just like a guard are dead on arrival.
We'll talk about a couple minor things, and then we'll talk about some of the bigger meat of the episode. Imperium had the greatest win rate of the weekend at an 82.4% win rate, but only really had 4 players. It's mostly Sisters and Knights and then 1 Custodes Imperial Soup list. I wouldn't
It's
make
still
too
a
much of it.
very high win rate for something plus knights.
Yep. It was
I
just
wonder if
4
Helverins
players.
are too good, guys.
It's possible. It's possible that bringing in Helverins that have all their traits might be too good. Just a ditch.
No, I just mean Helverins in general might be too good. Whose idea was it to make their guns not blast and also be D3 and also be AP2?
And damage 3, right? Just for funsies.
I know it's mental. I'm not a huge fan of that data sheet being as ubiquitous as it is. It's kind of just good into almost everything.
Right behind them is Forces of the Hive Mind, which is essentially just Tyler Bortel and Alex McDougall. One of them is wearing 2 hats, and the other one's just playing with himself. Because there are only 3 players for that faction this weekend with a 66.7% win rate. Yes, that was a double.
You could have phrased that significantly better than you did to be like less weird. Not even like it's insulting, but it's just weird, dude.
God damn it is. But Forces of the Hive Mind did win an event over the weekend, although I don't believe it was either Alex McDougall or Tyler Bortel who won it. They had a 3.75 over rep over the weekend as well.
That's quite a lot. Forces still aren't a real faction, guys. Don't trick yourself.
Yep. Right behind them is Chaos Soup, which is mostly just Chaos Space Marines with demons slapped onto it. And then some Chaos Knights lists, a lot of Abaddon Walking Dogs lists where you have a bunch of War Dogs, or I guess, I don't know what the Chaos equivalent is, what they're called, are being walked by Abaddon.
They're called War Dogs in Chaos. They're
War
armatures.
Dogs, okay. Armatures and Imperial Knights. Sorry. We had a 5.2% meta representation, a 62.7% win rate, and then 3 event wins, which is the most event wins of a single group. If we want to consider Chaos Soup one of the factions, we'll just consider it the umbrella for the purposes of this. 5 top 4s, 11 top 10s, and an overall over-rep of 1.7, which means they're not like horrifically unbalanced, although it's something to keep an eye on, as anything over 1.5 is where you start to get into kind of a problem zone. Leagues of Votan is in 4th place for the weekend. They had 10 players, 1.6% over, or 1.6% of the meta. They had a 61.7% win rate. They won their first event, from my understanding. They top 4'd an event, and they had 5 top 10s, and they had an over rep of 1.13. So still balanced, but Leagues of Votan are still kind of...
Sorry, balanced? What was the win rate again?
61.7%.
So what was the balance that we consider like an unhealthy indicator?
Oh, I mean, 62% is a lot of wins, but they didn't convert it into enough to make overrep go crazy. But what I wanted to say at the tail end there was that what we're really starting to see is Leagues of Votan players starting to pick up all of the models that are actually good in the army. I hate to break it to all those people who are running like 80 Hearthkin and stuff like that. That army wasn't good. You were playing with one of the mediocre data sheets in the book and then 2 of the decent data sheets in the book. But now you get all 3 of the best data sheets in the book. 4 data
None of which were the ones that you had before.
Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see Leagues of Votan creep up past 65 over the next couple of weeks as they hit the meta in full force, especially because 10 players is pretty low given how well that box and all of the models sold for it, how many people sold out. Votan, very good. Nerfs, perhaps not enough. We'll find out over the next few weeks. Tyranids and Harlequins are next. Tyranids had a 60.8% win rate. They won 2 events, top 4'd 8, and were top 10 and 14. They're still sitting pretty at an overrep of 2.5. So they're still over 2 for their overrep.
Dead.
Totally dead. Devastated. Leviathan no good. Kraken is broken. Everything is terrible. Harlequins are up next with a overrep of 2.05. They won 2 events. So apparently Harlequins now can win events. They couldn't before. Now they can win all sorts of events.
They couldn't convert while they were on the radar. They were laying low before the data slate.
Well, you know what it is? It's that extra 6 inches has made them think that they have to think about their game plan now. And they don't just autopilot, and then now they're better.
That's fair. And they had a 60.3% win rate. So again, totally dead. Nobody's playing them. Only 22 people, 3.5% of the meta. And then right behind them, strangely enough, and somehow, Tau and Custodes are the next 2 factions. Custodes have...
What is it?
I don't know. This is a very strange occurrence, but Custodes
How Custodes, Harlequins, Tyranids. This sounds a lot like March.
I know, doesn't it? It sounds like LVO of last season's LVO, just all over again, actually. Custodes had a 4.1% meta rep. They won an event. They top 4 to 3, top 8 to 10. They were top 10 in 8 events. They had a 58.9% win rate and an over rep of 1.3. And then
So
Tao
these players just kind of like showed up to play this week, right? That's kind of insane.
And then next we have Tao Empire, 5.2% meta rep. They didn't win any events. They did top 4 2 events, and they top 10 at 6 events. So they had an overall meta rep of about over rep ratio of 0.68, so just under 1, so totally balanced, with a win rate of 56.3%. So somehow we have just a ton of factions who've cropped up this week above 55. It is something that I want to note for people, because I know I always need to remind people of this, is that the week-to-week data is interesting for looking at maybe what something like trends are emerging, but it's not useful necessarily for like broadcasting like how well a faction is doing aside from in that week. So for Votann, you're looking more at the trend across weeks, and right now we have Votann kind of just continuously going up since inception into the meta. Harlequins and Tyranids have always kind of been around 60 at this point, and I don't really think that they're ever going to drop really below it on average or in mass. Otherwise, it's just things to look out for. Chaos Soup is doing incredibly well, and mostly it's just Flamers stapled onto stuff. So Flamers stapled onto Thousand Suns, Flamers stapled onto Emperor's Children if they're still allowing that at some events. Flamers stapled onto more Flamers. I don't know. But it is something to keep an eye out on as we move forward through the new post data slate meta. I think for what it will be.
Next balance data slate, just replace like 3 units in case in the Space Marine Codex or the Inquisition. Just add Flamers to Inquisition and let you instant chaos them in. And I think we can fix most Marines factions.
Yeah, they just make Flamers with 25 points.
I don't. How much would that help? What are they now? Like 35, 30?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
No, me neither. They might be 25. How would you know?
Yeah, no fucking
I will say, because I know people love me talking about the suffering of factions in the bottom 5. We'll go from worst to not as worst. Adeptus Mechanicus is still the worst at 37.3% for their win rate. Space Marines with almost 100 players had a 39.8. Chaos Knights are at a 41.0, obviously the lesser of the Knights. And despite a lot of Thousand Suns being present, pure Thousand Suns has a win rate of 41.9%. And then Astra Militarum, although this will probably change in like 3 weeks or whatever, whenever people decide to start letting Imperial Guard start playing, because I know GW events aren't letting Astra Militarum play until full release, which is in January.
But like after LVO.
Yeah,
and that would
that's when Guard should be legal.
Why you gotta make me sad like this? I don't want to play more Tyranids at LVO.
Why you gotta make me sad?
Because ideally that book got lost in the ocean, but I'll settle for not being legal for way after we know what the rules are, just to make the player base sad.
Yeah, it's a non-player faction. Like they don't need rules.
Yeah, man,
it's fine.
They could put if they put it on the front of the codex, you can make vroom vroom noises with your tanks in your bedroom too. No guard player would ever need to play a game.
Yeah, playing against Guard's rough, man. I can only listen to so many stories about how someone almost got in the military.
That must be a cultural difference because I've never.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing in America.
I just don't want to have to listen to the order. I don't want to know how they're tracking them with tokens. That's like
they're not going to have tokens.
But you know the WC rule is if you don't have a token for your effect, it doesn't exist, right?
I already have 3D printed tokens.
Just tell me what's going to happen in singles.
Do you have like 15? Do you have 15 copies of every order?
I hope so.
Why not? It's not that hard to print little poker chips with words on them.
It should be.
Okay, Ines.
To be fair, Matt, you're the only guard player who knows how to read, so I'm not really going to be.
Oh, no, that's worse. That's actually the worst. I was going to practice with the guard army to go to LVO with it, was kind of the idea, because I have.
Why?
I don't know.
Order.
Not going to any events until January. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like,
why do we keep doing
I
this?
cast Exodia on this squad of Kazarkin. delete.
I could do that. Yeah, the 5 Rogaldorns on the battlefield somehow form Exodia or something.
That's like the
I don't know.
GW list writing, bro. You just get those 5 heavy weapons teams in your list.
I saw that and I was
after
like, oh no, GW. Oh no. They're not troops. You can't just have 5 of them.
I immediately got a peer pressure to play. Did you see the article they put out with like preview lists? Chris Irvin immediately said was like, you need to take the all characters list to an RTT. It's like literally all characters. It's like Gaunt's Ghost, Strachan, Creed, Solar, and then 2 Valkyries. I'm like, if I can swap out the Valkyries for real units and you supply the models, I'll do it. And he was like, no deal. And I'm like,
GW put up a job listing today where one of the points that they put was attention to detail, and it was listed twice. I don't know if it's since been edited, but it was really, really, really funny.
Or they really wanted you to catch it.
Was it another?
Like if you don't catch that in the job description, maybe you're just not who they're looking for.
Yeah, maybe.
Was it another games developer position where they were looking for another?
No, it was like event management, something.
Oh, I can only assume what that will be. Yeah, the article by GW explained so much about the rules writing. I think the other thing to also note is that I don't think the Warcoms writers are to be trusted in any extent whatsoever.
No, they're a marketing team. They're not like rules. They're not games design.
They probably wrote
Remember that one time?
bunch of narrative lists, because you don't need to follow any rules for narrative lists. They're just like, whatever, we're going to throw.
Yeah, I have no idea if that guard character list was legal or not. I was just peer pressured into running it.
Remember
I'm sure they had like 5
that Pulse's Invuln was getting worse.
Yeah, in the
they were like
in the weird document.
They were right. It was just a long way out.
It was a very funny spoiler.
Well, because I think somebody pulled from one of the Warcoms articles that there's like a little note at the bottom about how all of the changes to guard that are present in the data slate are a band-aid that will be superseded by the new codex. But I don't trust Warcoms, so I would wait until January in the full release to see if Guard keep any of the shit that they got in the balanced data slates. Because other armies, well, I guess it's really just Chaos Space Marines kept their stuff from.
You know what I'm really the most looking forward to is when Wahapedia has updated what it says about the Guard Codex is, and you just like kind of can't see the 8th edition Codex now, and Guard players are still playing that for the next like 3 months and can't access the rules of Wahapedia. They go through like the back channel to the 8th edition rules. I want them to suffer.
They actually need to look at their codex.
Their codex, which is just like covered in like blackout ink, and like it looks like a redacted CIA file with all the changes, and like a madman has just been sticking newspaper bits into it. This bit says, "I get Arbiter of Contempt. This is how take covers change, because that used to work on tanks, boys. You could take cover your Baneblade."
One of the things I also have noticed for detail-oriented is that GW pointed out on their own Angron model that he's got a skull with a bionic eye on it, but that skull has 3 service studs. Non-Astartes don't get service studs, GW.
Maybe they're not service studs. Maybe it's just wicked deformed.
What if just Yerick is the only human who got service studs? Because the Black Templars were like, okay, guys, we should put some service studs in the skull.
When you're on Armageddon and the bottle of tequila is getting passed around, and you're playing some choco dice, and somebody hands you a nail gun, you don't say no.
You just
this 5 is what it is, man.
Later, you just put a couple nails in your forehead and like, yeah, 300 years of service, bro.
I think we played the version of Choco Dice where we were doing shots, especially of that whatever that one that was going in the apple juice was. By the end of it, you could have convinced me for a service stud.
Yeah, man, 100 episodes of Fight Club will get you a service stud.
No, not taking that one.
Hey, man, you'd have to work really hard to do 80 more episodes of Fight Club.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought you said stat check, so I was like,
no.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. The stats on 1,000 Suns are bad. They're 42% win rate. Other than that, there's not a lot going on in the meta. The meta's still relatively stable. I mean, the 1,000 Suns that are winning are 1,000 Suns with demons stapled onto them. That's just the thing that's winning.
Flamers are a fucked up data sheet, and you need some stuff to protect your characters.
Yeah, I don't even care anymore about all the demons players who are complaining that if Flamers get nerfed, that their codex is bad. I'm like, that's too fucking bad, guys.
Yeah, man.
This data
You can
sheet
have
needs
you
to
could
be-
have 30 point, swap the Fiend point cost with the Flamers point cost, and we're talking. Fiends are 35 points, man.
Maybe that's what they did at GW headquarters. They're like, oh man, we accidentally
I
copied
think
this
Fiends
cell and
are
pasted
reasonable.
it in the wrong cell.
Yeah, I think they're reasonable, but I
Fiends
think
are
at
reasonable at
25 they'd be
35.
really good. So
That's true.
But they should just be 35 points. And I'm sorry if that's suffering for you. It's just 35 points for Flamers now per month.
it was really wild how when I was playing them, it would be like, yeah, so these will reliably almost do half damage to an Armiger with my 125 point unit, and then won't take any damage back, and then we'll finish it next turn. And they'll do that every turn of the game, and I'll just get them back sometimes as well when I roll well.
You can't get them back.
Do we want to transition
from
chatting stats to chatting?
Yeah. The one time I pulled that off,
stuff?
I pulled an extra model back. Apologies, that guy.
Do we want to chat about Frontline Gaming's announcement first?
Sure.
Just to see Anthony's reaction to it.
Well, I'm lagging,
Anthony, I just
so I don't
want
know how much the reaction you're going to get.
I don't care. We'll stall it to make it work.
We'll stall until you get a reaction proper out of you. So, Anthony, I was told in our YouTube comments that all of our, mostly your statement, had aged like milk, essentially, after the Frontline Gaming announcement. What is your response to our Frontline Gaming announcement?
Nothing really changed, right? Like, it'll matter for 20 people. The person that made that comment probably isn't one. And it just seems very unlikely that that really matters. Like, I would prefer that they made a change to the things that actually impact their events feeling like shit to go to, rather than some, essentially circle jerk for the top players who get to then not get accidentally paired into each other round one. Like, you definitely don't want to get, Lenin, right? You don't want to get non-evadied. Those are all bad experiences. But, it really isn't that big of a deal, guys. Like, the top players aren't losing rounds 1 through 3 anyway, so it's not that big of a competitive advantage. And then on the other hand of the spectrum, it's not that exciting if you're one of those people. You're just like, cool. And then it might have a downside, because if the average wins are too low in point value, you have to play the shadow round, which fucks you. It's not that great. Like, it's fine. It's not something that I can get very excited about, and it's also not something that I can ride too much as being terrible. It's just fine. Whatever.
I don't know.
That's how
I'm more on the it's terrible side, personally.
I'm actually kind of on the this is neat, this is cool. This is like a professionalization kind of thing that's from Magic the Gathering,
it's cool
pro circuit tour stuff. It's a cool idea. Yeah. It just was not the change that we wanted.
I gotta be honest. First of all, why are you encouraging the people playing 40k to play less 40k? It's not like Magic where you can crack out a game in 20, 30, 40 minutes. You play a game of 40k, it's like a 3-hour commitment. You're now going to play 9 hours less of 40k if you're a top 8 player LVO. That's just kind of weird. That's less time where they can have people on stream, less of that. It removes a lot of variance. It also is probably worse for the people to miss the 3 games, because you're gonna lose out on warm-up games. You're not gonna be in the headspace as easily. Being in game 4 has that kind of that weight to it. You're playing for the win. You're starting fresh in game 4. It's going to feel different. It just is, and people will not be used to that. I think to completely tangent off it. In the other competitive game I follow, which is League of Legends, because I hate myself. There's a concept called play-ins, which is basically before the World Championships, the 4th best team from a bunch of regions, and then the best of the kind of not really major regions. So the 4th best Korean team, the 4th best North American team, and the best Japanese team, the best Turkish team, play in a big mini competition beforehand to qualify for the main event. And those teams that come out of that almost always do better than the 2nd and 3rd seed from their regions, because they've played a bunch of games. Yep. They're warmed up. They're in the meta. They're you get some experience. You know what the terrain is like. You could be going in fresh. You've taken your 85, your 85, your 85 flat because you averaged it out. You're playing against somebody who's played 4 games now, or played 3 games now on player place with their list, and they're ready to play. You're waking up fresh. You've just had a day out in Vegas because you were there for the extra day anyway. You're probably not. Or maybe you are, but you're going into it fresh. This is game one. This is meant to be the easy game, and you're playing somebody on 3 wins. Like, I don't think that's a great experience for you either.
Yeah, I think the best thing they could do with this is take some of the people that have the buys and do like an invitational the first day so they have good stream content on the starter. But we'll see. Like, maybe there's more to this announcement than what they gave us. Maybe there isn't. It's impossible to know because they only give us what they give us because it's Frontline. But I just broadly don't have any faith in them, right? Like, that's kind of my issue with them, is that they've eroded all my like goodwill and faith for them to do things that make sense. Like, I just don't have that anymore because of other decisions they've made with running their events. So in general, I think it's fine. I probably wouldn't even take it if offered, unless there was something else to go with it. But like in general, I'm just like, it's just not that big of a deal, guys. It affects
you get your regular ticket upgraded to a VIP package, mate.
Cool, sick. I don't know. Like it just doesn't do anything for me. Like hype or disappointment wise, it's fine.
Yeah,
cool.
It's very.
I'm glad to see things move towards like circuiting, right? Like, but it doesn't make me feel more like if they add this to UKTC events, if they somehow become a qualifier, I don't feel any more part of that circuit when I go across and play those events. It's not unifying the scene in any way. It's just like a little extra bonus pip that happens.
Yeah, it definitely feels like regardless of whether it's slightly positive, slightly negative, or even very positive, very negative, it's just kind of bland. Like, it feels like on the grandest scheme of things, it still doesn't matter. You've still got to win 7 and probably 8 games because you'll have to shadow round for LVO. Like, what does it really change?
You'll almost assuredly have to shadow round if you take those buys.
Yeah. Like, you probably should play 3 more games in order to try and skip 1 more game. Like, that doesn't really feel like it's the best value proposition.
It's not. But playing that shadow is rough, and if you can dodge it, it helps a lot.
Sorry.
God damn it.
Amber vanilla.
What, do you have strong feelings one with the other on that nickname, dude?
No.
You don't have strong feelings one way or the other. Could you describe yourself as amber vanilla towards it?
Excellent. We found another nickname for the pile. We've got a great proper amber vanilla to go with violence. Tony V.
Yeah, Donald, I would love for there be a rival to Frontline. I would support them wholeheartedly in any way, shape, or form that I could if someone else wanted to run large events in the US.
Yep. I agree with that. I think that the lack of a major competitor... The lack of a major competitor in the tournament circuit scene in the United States has allowed kind of Frontline to ride its success to just doing nothing in particularly that's innovative with terrain or with experience for players.
It's been the same since the first ACO that I went to. Like, nothing's changed at all.
And I think once what I've talked about with other people is that 40K kind of runs, and Warhammer in general, not just 40K, but Age of Sigmar, runs very much on like historic like memory. Like Frontline Gaming once did something good, and now they kind of get to just be the thing that people do because they did that good thing that one time.
Yeah, it's a lot of momentum.
I think that's changing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's changing for
I think it is changing a little bit, and I think that's like a COVID effect currently. Like
there's a lot of change.
Sorry, Anthony.
There's a lot of change in the like player base, right? Like there's a lot of like new blood in the scene, myself included, that are like very much like, no, this is ridiculous. What do you mean? Like, So I don't know. That seems to be more and more common. I am definitely biased, right, and have some level of echo chamber effect on that, but like, it seems like that's very common amongst the people that I talk to. That there's a lot of people that are like, I get that it was this way, but it doesn't have to be. Why don't things change? Votan's actually a good example of that. We had fucked release after fucked release over and over and over again through 9th. We got another one. The community was like, no. And then they did something. I think this is like a thing that can change over time if the community continues to push for a change.
Yeah, I think that's
100%.
I think there is still a large degree of momentum carries a lot of weight in 40K, though. The events that are big and well-known are big and well-known almost because they're big and well-known now. Like, LVO is not going to become a smaller event because people know LVO is the big event. It's the one you travel for. That's why I'm traveling for it. Like, it just kind of...
Right.
Yeah, it's the same thing. People listen to the people that people have always listened to. It just kind of will be. And yeah, as they fade in, more people can move in to step up. But I don't think those people, if they continue to actively try to be involved, ever really stop being involved. It's just a lot of them,
not, right?
like Frontline, aren't actively trying to be involved. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anthony, why don't you take like 2 seconds and explain the shadow round just for people in chat? Because I know we've said it like 3 or 4 times and just not explained it.
So the way the shadow round works is that at LVO, there's a number of undefeated. And this is going to be one of those times where me being bad at math makes me bad at explaining this. But here we go. So there's an amount of people that sign up for the tournament that make it so after 6 rounds, essentially, you can't get undefeated, which is what needs to happen for the day 3 to get to proceed to a natural finals. So what typically happens is they'll take the rank 5 through 12 player. I think that's how that works. And they'll make them all play each other to join the top 4 undefeated in day 3. What that means for those players, though, is that in that shadow round, that doesn't affect your placing. You're playing at I think shadow round starts at 9 p.m. So you're in there late and you are tired. So that last, the shadow round is a fucking scrap. The judges, to their credit, the shadow round is probably the best judged round of LVO. Last year they had Danny do it, and pardon me because I don't know Danny's last name, but Danny was on us like white on rice. He started the shadow round and was like, "You're all adults, fucking act like it." That's a quote. He was like, "If you agree to play by intent, you will play by intent, or you will lose your game automatically. If you're playing it how it is, then that's fine, but you have to establish that when you start." And then he went to every table and asked us how we're playing, so he knew how to judge them when he came by. That said, in the shadow, points don't matter because your battle points don't contribute to your overall placing from points in the shadow round. So what happens is you essentially swing for the goddamn fences, but you're doing it while you're exhausted because you're not playing to have a close game. You're playing to win this or not. You want to be out of there because you're going into day 3 at that point fairly compromised. So you can see this in some of the games. I played on the stream in the shadow last year. You can see it in my game with Lucas where our decision making wasn't optimal. We're definitely going for it a bit earlier than we might have. Things like that. So yeah, the shadow round is definitely an experience. You want to do what you can to avoid it, but doing what you can looks like having an easy path and scoring lots of hundreds. We're taking a list that does that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be playing Tau, you're scoring 97s, bro. It ain't happening.
That'll work if they're all 97s. But no variance.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. If you've played in the UKTC at all, you'll probably recognize the pushing for it from the UKTC's cut to top 4, where it doesn't matter how many undefeated there are, top 4 get to keep playing. So you can see a lot of shit where you're just no, you don't take fucking you don't take R&D, you take banners, and it doesn't matter how shit the mission is. You go and table them, you get that 100. The first LGT was brutal for that because we had no expectation on what we were looking at it going in, and people were shitting their pants because this was still in the Scrambler days. We're you can't take Scramblers, you just can't do it. It's dropping 5 points, bro.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It's not worth the risk.
Thankfully,
on that note,
Oh, can you hear me still?
I was going to say we could transition to talking about something different, but we can start.
Yeah,
it's fun.
The other option is that you play for consistent wins. You're I'm going to win all 6 of these at this margin, and I'm just going to win, and that's fine. And I'm playing the shadow, but you have to be on top of your shit throughout the day, making sure that you're staying hydrated, rested, fed, so that when you get into round 7, you're not dead. And that's a general
So, like,
good tournament
Nassim would be
advice.
fine.
It's very different knowing you're planning to play 4.
Yeah, that's take the Nassim list and just play like 3 hours of 40k over game over day 2, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's part of the appeal of being very fast at 40k is the 4th round doesn't usually feel that bad. I've definitely done a few where you play the 4th game. It's fine. Like you get sometimes I take a nap over lunch sometimes. Like I don't know, man. I finish games fast. It's not too bad. Just got to find somebody to trust with your phone. That's the scary bit.
What I was going to say is we should transition. We can talk about guard placement in the meta, and then we can talk about something that people actually want to talk about, because I know neither Innes nor Anthony want to talk about it.
I suppose I'll do the plugs as well then.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. We are going to be taking a short second here just to talk about our plugs and socials and all that sort of stuff. This is StatCheck. You can find our website at stat-check.com, where you can see all of our updates to things like the meta dashboard and CRS and the ELO, as well as our article feed, which has things like our meta report, which comes out once a month. If you would like to see more of this sort of stuff, you can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/c/statcheck, where you can see our bonus content, some of which is out for everybody, some of which is behind the Patreon wall. And if you are watching any of that or past live streams, if you could drop a like, comment, subscription, any of that sort of stuff, tell a friend, share it, whatever. All the easy stuff that every YouTuber says, but apparently it really helps, which I noticed in the weekend where I missed it, where it just got like no comments, and that sucked. So reminder, drop a comment. It's probably the most fun thing for us because we get to interact with you guys a little bit outside of the once a week time we're here. If you really enjoyed the show, you can check us out at patreon.com/statcheck, where you can support us for a few dollars a month and get access to our Discord and have a chat with us. We are generally all fairly active in there, except Anthony, who's incredibly active in there. Because Anthony works from home and has nothing better to do. I didn't say that. That was rude.
That's only mostly true.
So
like
yeah,
80% true.
If you're in a position where you would like to help us out, we would really appreciate that. We are coming up to 20 episodes, so clearly people are sticking around, and we are really enjoying doing what we do, but we couldn't do without you guys' help. So thank you very much to everybody. We are now going to move on without me being awkward at saying promotion stuff.
Come join us on our Patreon so you can do stuff like our TTS League and stuff like that.
Or you can definitely play against us, and not where we all played lists we hate, and now none of us want to play anymore.
I'm kind of my list is meeting its expectations.
Mine too. They just weren't high.
Exactly. I was expecting to lose a lot.
List refresh week.
Sure, I'll talk to the chat tomorrow.
Yeah, because like I don't want to play in the league and then be like dreading every game. I would like to interact with our community. That seems good.
You chose to play Tau, dude.
Technically, I think we peer pressured Anthony into playing Tau.
Yeah, I definitely got bullied
so much as we told him to
playing
do it.
Tau.
We should do that. Just the three of us. I think Jeremy's fine with demons. We can rotate our lists.
Fine. Anyway, let's move on to less shit topics. We're going to talk about 20 minutes, and then we'll be taking some show questions. So if you have a question, either leave it in the chat, or if you are in our Discord, chuck it into the show questions section, where we will make sure we get to it in about 15-20 minutes time. Nathan, you had a topic.
Hello?
Sorry, my headset just flickered.
Gandalf says wait.
Gandalf says 2 seconds while I figure.
A wizard never starts a topic on time or late. Just
all right. So we're going to talk about guard, right? That's what we went on. That's what I said we were going to talk about.
Probably.
I guess we should talk about it. It exists as a thing.
But if we just ignore it, maybe it'll go away.
I mean, it might go away. It definitely feels like a book that
walruses instead.
What do you want to know about walruses?
I don't know.
Who
there
is
was a
the
lot
walrus?
of info about this last time we did this.
I mean, I can. Oh, do you want to talk about it in like the 40K context? I was thinking you wanted like the biology of a walrus.
I would take that over talking about guard.
Do we want me to pull up some Wikipedia articles and I'll just do a dramatic?
If you could just read us like 15 facts about walruses and 1 fact about the musical artist Seal, that would be great.
Sure, 1 second.
So Anthony, what do you think of guard?
I think they're the goddamn worst. No, I think they're okay. Like the elite boys seem a bit busted, but the rest of it seems all right. Like it's not terrible, right? Like they get lots of gun, but not a lot of unit now, right? Because their stuff's like a bit more expensive, and they have like 170 point auto take dude that fucks, but like they have less stuff because of it. So maybe it's okay. I don't know, man. Like it seems like it'll be fine.
The book seems broadly like middle of the road 9th edition codex. Like nothing about it screamed this is insane enough to the point where it's going to win you games automatically, like the Votan stuff did. But also nothing. You kind of look at it and you're like, yeah, I like. There's nothing that you look at it and you're like, I couldn't build a list around this. Kazakin bomb seems very powerful, which is running like the Barbican key, where you can chuck a bunch of command phase buffs on them and then send them off, slap on the ass, send them off to deal 12 mortal wounds to your biggest enemy. But that's not going to like flip backfield objectives. It's going to annoy backfield objectives, and people will have to commit like a character and something to them now instead. But it's not like win you the game flipping primary. It's just good damage output. The tanks seem fine. You can definitely buff them, but buffing is expensive. The infantry seems playable, like it gets cheap weapons. People are talking in the chat, or Anthony's just laughing at me. I don't know.
This just fucking killed me. Sorry. And if you want to know what that was, you should have watched us live, bitches.
But
you pulled it up on the.
I think there's like there are some there are like some spike units in the thing that like immediately are powerful, right? Rough Riders are one of them. Leonidas is one of them. I don't freaking know how to.
Please call him Lord Solar or Horse Guy. Don't call him
Lord.
No one's gonna know who the fuck Leonidas is. That's the guy from 300, and he's only 170 points.
The horse dude who they previewed is very good. 170 points for that model is so good that it doesn't even make sense.
It makes Morven Val look expensive.
He does. I mean, he's not. I don't know if he's quite as good as Morven Val is, though.
Morven Val doesn't slap tanks and save reroll hits.
That's true. The other thing is like Kasserkin or the other unit that's hyper pushed aside from Rough Riders, and it's only if you spend a bunch of CP on them in order for them to do stuff effectively.
Sure, but being able to do that, like there's a lot of units in the game that are really good if you spend CP on them, but you never get to do it because like how do you deliver them? Guys can kind of just deliver themselves or are so cheap it doesn't really matter if you don't spend the like if you build a massive mortal wound combo in a lot of armies, it's like very expensive, and then it's like 100 points for Kasserkin.
I mean, it's 100 points, 2 CP, a character, and then the relic.
Sure,
right?
But you're taking the character anyway. The 2 CP are like at point of transaction spend them other than the relic one. And the relic one means it's almost guaranteed you get to deliver that squad. And the second squad is just like there if you get the chance. Like it's not a super high opportunity cost to bring it. Rough Riders seem good, but I'm not like overwhelmed by them. Like they're a powerful countercharge unit that is fairly fragile and has to go around walls. Like I think they seem fairly well balanced, like good but well balanced.
Yeah, it's like people think about, I think, too much like the raw math of some units. Like Rough Riders, with all of the buffs on them, will one-shot a Questoris Knight if they get the charge on it. But
they'll also die to like normal units overwatching them, like in decent numbers. Like
that Knight actually overwatching that unit of Rough Riders probably kills them all. Like they just go away if that Knight is a shooty one and it just rolls relatively well.
Yeah, that like Questoris Knight's got a heavy flamer. That's like 2 Rough Riders dead.
Yeah,
a couple extra hits on Endless Fury, and you're like, yeah, this was not fun. I wish I wasn't here right now. So I don't know. I think they seem fine.
One of the things about the book is just that it's kind of a roller coaster ride. There's like some stuff in it that's not good. Like I think other than Born Heroes, some of the regimental traits are just kind of okay. There are a couple of good ones, and then there's a lot of like meh to bad ones. There's like a couple. There's some good relics, like the banner's really good, but there's also some really bad relics in there, like a bunch of pistol relics that aren't going to be any great at anything.
It's also the first of kind of like, I don't know if it's the first of a new design philosophy, but it's certainly the way the design philosophy is going of this book is that there's no Cadian relics, no Cadian warlord traits. It's all just generic, basically. Which is certainly interesting. I kind of like it. I like the whole just play whatever, you get the stuff. We phased out like the subfaction stuff other than like you get your subfaction rule and that's it. And I'm kind of okay with that as opposed to what they did with like Thousand Suns, Grey Knights, and Custodes, where they were just like, here is subfaction rules, but no subfaction rule, so to say. So they don't have like a generic ability. I think the generic abilities are the more fun part of those. It's a thing you get to do all your cool stuff with. Adding like an extra stratagem and an extra world and an extra like, it's just kind of cannibalizing design space, and I'm okay with that phasing out. I think that's fine, and I like the way the Guild Codex has done that.
I also really like it, and I think what they did in order to bring people like now you have a reason to bring Krieg models if you have Krieg models at all, or if you just want to buy and paint them, you have a reason to just buy and paint them now.
Well, except the poor fucking Catacan who get flamers and nothing else.
That's also true. There are like some units in this book that are terrible, and Catacant. They Catacant. Slime Marbo is kind of neat, but otherwise not great. A lot of the artillery is just kind of okay. Some of this also really depends on what happens to the balance data slate. Like, if Guard ignore artillery negatives, this book changes a lot.
Mortars become kind of wild, I think, is the...
Like, those new pieces that fire AP to strength 7, damage to ignore line of sight shots become a lot better. They can be strength 8 with Creeds.
Yeah, so with Creed you can take aim on them to get them +1 to hit, +1 AP, which at the moment currently cancels out the indirect bonus, and also +1 strength. Creed. You could do the +2, the +1 strength AP and to hit with generic orders, but Creed gives them +1 strength as well. That on mortars as well gets them to strength 6, which is very good. It's a very nice breakpoint. So if they're ignoring the indirect penalty, it's going to be real sad.
Very different.
Because those are not super expensive, especially the generic mortars plus Creed combo is pretty damn cheap. To just say your backfield kind of just dies. And it's got Born Heroes as well, so it's 6 to auto wounding, so it's got the volume fire to like make armies that have like 3 up 2 up saves actually hurt a little bit. I don't know. I don't love that design space, and I hope that they lose. Oh, also Hammer of the Emperor, just make it being on everything would be stupid while there's a regiment trait for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious that Hammer of the Emperor is going away because there's a duplication in there. But the book also has some stuff that looks like some of the CSM stuff, like Iron Warriors had the AP elimination thing, and they changed it into no rerolls to wound for that faction, which if they do that for industrial efficiency, the book goes just absolutely bananas wild. Can you imagine a Rogel Dorn with Armor of Contempt and no rerolls to wound against it? Like, the absolute barbarity of that unit would just be nuts. Like a T9 2-up +1 save against damage 1 weapons and Armor of Contempt on it. I think they keep Armor of Contempt. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Armor of Contempt on those
Land Raider.
Well, the Land Raider's a real low bar to hurdle at this point for good transport.
That was the joke. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to explain it. So, I don't know. I think the best thing to take from it is like Guard kind of slots in at the A tier. They're not an S tier army. They have problems into some factions. It's fine.
I definitely have found that the thing with Guard lists is that it always looks like 1,000 points of really, really cool stuff, and then like what the fuck left? It's like, do you go tanks? Do you go infantry? Like once you've got Solar, a couple squads of Cats, get a couple squads of Rough Riders, and like your like big tank of choice and some infantry. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I ran out of stuff that I wanted. More tanks is hard to hide, and you run out of stuff to kill against a lot of armies. I don't know. It seems weird. I'm sure there'll be efficient options, but
that's where the no line of sight nerf is important, right? Because if you don't, because if they don't do that, then you just windmill jam 700 points and no los on those lists and shell the immortal fuck out of people.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things I think that's like good to consider is like it's okay that the book is just A tier. It does not need to be an S tier book. That's fine. And somebody in chat, Chris Irvine, pointed out that Rogel Dorn with no wound rerolls against it and Armor of Contempt sounds like a Hekaton Land Fortress, but with worse guns.
I think if someone complains at you that their book is only A tier, you should be allowed to punch them in the mouth for 5 points.
Also, I'm actually kind of happy with it because there's like some gems in this in the codex as well that like people will play that are probably good with like enough stuff on them. Like
I think God's Ghost looked really cool and actually vaguely playable, which I think
we were talking about that when the book came out.
Because we were sat
Even
looking at it
Ogren
and we're
looked
like,
decent.
do I need to read this data sheet? And you were like, probably not. And I'm like, did you read it? Like, no.
No,
I'll take
yeah.
a look then, I guess. And it's
Yeah.
actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to transition into questions now that we've hammered the Emperor out of that particular codex review?
God,
what?
damn it.
Hammered the Emperor on his golden throne.
Yeah.
Sure, let's do show questions. That sounds reasonable. Do you want to kick us off? Also, Alex,
sure.
I know I misspoke. I didn't mean Custodes. I meant Death Guard, Grey Knights, and Thousand Suns.
You know,
I
the
can
other
start-
factions.
I guess we just never put up in our Patreon that we were going to take questions today, but I guess we'll do it.
I didn't put it up because I just assumed that people know that on Tuesdays we want to know about stuff now.
No, you got to tell people. They won't remember. They're like goldfish.
We've got no object
Their
permanence.
memories. It's true.
People forget we exist until the notification pops up.
So we're going to start with our Discord. So if you're a Patreon member, you can ask questions in the Discord every week, and then we'll go to those questions first, and then we'll do YouTube questions if we have time, essentially. Ed, or Peaches, from the Discord asks thoughts on Harpies in Kraken.
You sure can run Harpies in Kraken.
They died super fast when I played against them.
Yeah, what if you took a Harpy and removed all of the stuff that makes it really good, like being hard to kill, and they're not that hard to kill in Leviathan either, and you just said I don't need none of that unless I spend CP, which I don't have because I'm playing Kraken. I don't know, you can make the Kraken army even more coin flip, but I feel like the army doesn't really have a problem with winning when it goes first most of the time because it just runs screaming idiots at you 4,000 miles an hour.
Fair.
But Harpies can double down on that and you can really win the games where you go first. But I don't know. I feel like I would rather have some options to go second into shooting armies as opposed to just lose a million Raveners. Maybe that's different when you can see on off of UKC boards, but playing Harpies on GW terrain seems like trolling. So you can't hide an angle at all. They're just completely visible to the entire board. Yeah, that's all I got.
Next question is, do you think Guard will be legal at LVO? That's asked by Nick.
Hopefully
Do I think
not.
they will, or do I hope they will?
Do you think they will?
I hope they're legal and they've had an update. I hope they've done the reverted the balance data slate and said, we think these guys are okay. I think that would be fine. Mostly because I really don't want to have to play against Old Guard ever again. I don't ever want to have to think about that book again. Especially because if I was considering playing Chaos, I don't want Vengeance for Cadia to be a thing that could happen to me after I've missed my buys in round 1, 2, and 3. Because I'm I'll just not play the buys, and then I pair into idiot number 1 with his Vengeance for Cadia list.
Yep.
Cool. Next question from Tom H. What are your thoughts on Strax being locked to Cadian units when it's now model locked? I think it's fine. I don't know.
It's fine.
If it was just if they had just called them parade officers or whatever, and then just locked it to that and just not called it Cadian, it wouldn't make a difference. It's not really any different from core or anything like that. I think it's fine. It's a way to gate some options out. It's all right. No,
I think it's fine.
Can you still make your own stuff, your regimental stuff, Cadian as well, or is it just no? It's just
no. They're just generic traits now, so it's just regiment and platoon and stuff like that.
That's fair. If you had to pick today from Brendan, what faction would you say was an odds-on favorite to win LVO? Votan.
Probably
Votan.
I would bet Votan. Yeah. Votan is my bet right now.
I would bet Votan or Chaos Space Marines because I think Chaos Space Marines have a lot more players than Votan do. Anthony is ambivalent.
I mean, that's fair. He is ambivalent.
I'm lagging.
Are you going to complete the triumvirate of people voting for Votan as probably the odds-on favorite to win LVO?
I don't know if I'd pick them.
Who would you pick them?
Tau? Maybe guard.
Cool. Do you want to justify that in any way, or are we just rolling on?
Guard, because lots of gun plus lots of points seems to be really good on frontline terrain. Because that's like the context we have to consider, right? Is that like this will be on FLG terrain?
Yeah. Stuff. Yeah.
But I generally think it'd be like Votan's a good call, but I think it'd be one of those two.
Does Votan not also just kind of like dumpster on garbage train? Cool. Anthony, how depressed would you be if the fake World Eaters leak was real? He doesn't know. Cool. I think it'd be fine. I didn't see anything obviously wrong with it. Angron being 360 was cool. Despite seeing no match play rules will be in the Arcs of Omen campaign books, what is the odds of seeing data sheet legal for all forms of playing them? Hopefully zero. And
Hopefully
I'm
zero.
refusing to acknowledge any other possibility existing because I forgot those books existed.
Yep.
Nathan, were there any games played this week by League other than Ymyr? Didn't Kronos win the GT?
It did.
It did.
I quite like Kronos. Blair Bloody Rose is kind of cracked.
Honestly, all of the leagues are good. Like, pretty much. Like, all the leagues have great things. There's a league with +1 toughness that nobody thinks is the best one. Like, the leagues are all pretty good and have good things going on.
Yeah.
+1 toughness is kind of fun. Odds that World Eaters are anywhere near A tier.
They're going to be C tier.
About the same as the odds that are out in time for LVO.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they have, like, there's a lot of room for them to make them very good. It's hard to know.
Yeah. Putting my YouTube question here, best and worst matchups for guard? Don't really know.
I think guard will struggle with quick shit, right? That's in general, that's going to be an issue for them.
Quinn seems rough.
Yeah, like, Harlequin's going to be trouble.
Unless mortars are, like, amazing, in which case Quinns go away.
Right.
I think one of the things that I like best about the guard book, though, is like if people start bringing hydras, like things like sun sharks start disappearing.
Oh, that'd be great if sun sharks could just die.
Like,
I don't think that changes if you take sun sharks or not, right?
Guard. No, I don't think so. I don't think it does either. But wouldn't it be great if it did?
Yeah.
Like just live in that world. Great. Like imagine a world where all the flyers are gone.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
360 point art. Angron, cap or slap?
Slap? I guess.
That would slap.
Slap sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
I stand by
points leaks.
World Eaters army-wide rule. If you play pure World Eaters, they can only take damage in the fight phase. Army-wide.
Ooh, army-wide. Jesus.
Phase capped to one phase.
They all just count as being in engagement range permanently. You can shoot at them, but you have to take your -1 and none of your blast weapons work.
Angron can always declare a charge and he just rolls as many dice as he wants.
He rolls 8 dice. He can always charge. Good luck.
It's still weird to me that Magnus and Mortarion don't fall back in charge. Like, it just seems wrong.
No, it's good.
They are so big that they should just move out and back in.
It's way funnier that they can't.
You got tagged by that Nurgling. You're staying there.
Yeah, there you shall stay, bitch. Should have killed it.
I know, but it just seems wrong. Okay, let's take some quick questions from the chat.
There's one more from YouTube that's in our Discord if we want to take it.
I did that one already. Best and worst matchups from guard.
Did we do it?
Yeah, we just did that.
Oh, damn.
Dude,
I just
sleeping on the job.
All I heard was all this Angron. I got distracted by Angron 360 points. I got so distracted by that.
Ennis, what changes do you consider for player place versus you consider? I'm not. I'm just gonna wing it. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna figure it out on the way there. I will worry about that in like January. It'll be fine.
You don't want to practice like a little bit before? You don't think that we should use some of the resources?
Dude, I'm gonna have 3 gimme games where none of the other top players are playing.
No, that's next LVO, you fucking muppet.
I know that because there's not been a circuit.
You fucking muppet
But,
is the best.
I'm just gonna. I'll be fine. I'll figure it out on the day. It's just terrain, bro.
Anthony's been hanging out with UK folks, obviously.
It's just terrain, bro. Terrain doesn't matter that much.
Insults.
Terrain's not that important in 40k. Like, you can get away with
It seems to be the official Frontline Gaming stance, so that's fair.
You can get away with a bed sheet and some books.
While you pull more questions from the YouTube chat, can I just show the image that Alex posted in our Discord because I think it's funny?
Go for it.
And I'm going to share my Discord, and I don't care.
He sent me into.
Brian, we can do this, but it's going to be really expensive.
Just in case anybody was wondering, this is how Anthony's nicknames are going. We're working on it.
The second half of the movie was just all of them combined, and it's just us calling him Champ.
Sure thing, Champ. You're doing great there, Champ. Whatever you want, Champ.
Well done, Champ. Yeah, no, I will probably try. Like, I don't know if I can get access to a LVO. Like, there isn't an LVO terrain set, right? There's like 15 million boards, and then like if you make like the top 4 tables, 3 of them are good or something like that. And like if you play on the Blood Moon on a Wednesday, and Nick Nanavati is within like a half circle of you, you get to play on the real terrain. Otherwise, you're playing on like whatever fell out the back of the truck while they were loading up the Kings of War boards. So like, I don't know, how do you practice for that? I'll just wing it like Frontline do.
It's less winging it and more just keeping with the thing that keeps making the money, to be fair.
Literally being unable to practice for a terrain set doesn't seem like a good thing to practice for.
Okay.
Can you not buy LVO?
You can speak again.
LVO terrain?
All right. What are you talking about not being able to practice? We have TTS, you fucking drooler. What are you talking about?
Yes. Look, dude.
It's just the biggest event I'll play all year. I'll just go 2 and 3 at every 100,000 person event I go to.
Exactly.
I went 3 and 2. And you're going to be extra sad. You're going to lose to me in one of those 2 matches. And you're
Nathan, if I lost to you, I'd be so proud of you. It would be fine. Aww. That would almost.
I mean, that's also true. That's also true. I'd be very proud of myself.
That would almost make up for the absolute bender that he would go on afterwards in Vegas.
Yeah, dude, straight dropping. Like I have never buying shit out of Vegas.
I've completed my circle. I'm done now.
I am retired now. Congratulations, Chris Irvin, on Team Scotland captaincy.
Yeah.
Like there'd just be like, if I see me in the corner stood posting on the Team Scotland Facebook page, and then I would just vanish and never be seen again in 40k circles if I drop.
All right. I think we've well and truly lost all course.
Okay, no. Does anybody have a picture of an LVO board? Like, what does it look like? What am I playing on?
What?
I've not done this research.
I mean, I can just pull up a picture of FLG terrain.
Yeah, like, see, Nick is saying LVO has a huge variety of bad terrain.
Wait, what'd you say?
Can Nathan get a picture of an LVO board up? I want to see what I'm going to be playing.
I mean, I can pull one
You're
up.
You're adorable that you think there's one terrain
That's
set.
what I'm saying.
Like
how am I meant to practice?
This is one of the. This is an FLGN
on a board. Set. On a board, please.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Fine.
Honestly, it's not gambling if you win. Yeah, Brian, put it all on black again. See how that works.
Jesus! Now I gotta find a fucking table. God damn it!
Exactly.
Fuck. Oh no! I have to find an actual event table. Is kind of the problem. I mean, this is a setup. I don't know if it's from an event.
Isn't the answer anyway, Anthony, to just YOLO a list that I've not practiced? Doesn't that always work?
You can nick Nanavati yourself.
You can do whatever you want now. We fixed your name. You're good to go.
Oh, Warhammer.
This is gonna take me too long with Google, apparently.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's just shoot like. Can we get like stock images on this? I'm assuming no.
No.
I'm sure we can get some
I
from
I can put a duck on the board. There you look. That's FLG's terrain. This is our logo.
It's just a single duck.
That's the terrain.
Just a single duck.
Well, how else are you gonna hide on it?
Oh no, Innes! You're gonna hide behind your trophies. That's what you're gonna do.
Yes. If I bring my trophies to LVO, am I allowed to use them to deploy them? And if Nick brings his set or Manny brings his set, do I have to cower in fear?
Okay.
Only if Manny's spamming 18 of something.
It could be 27 if it's a troop. Can Violence take Innes' spot on Team Scotland? No.
But Nathan is going to be coaching. That'll be great.
Nathan's going to be an analyst. I think that's slightly different.
It's true. It's going to be analyst.
I'm not going to make you run water. I'm not going to make you run water. You're going to be sitting whispering spreadsheets in my ear.
I am in the most sultry tones that I can muster.
It'll be great. Yeah. I got nothing more, guys. I really ran out of steam about an hour.
Below average Bob asked the most
and 10
important
minutes
question.
ago.
I'm not sure if below average Bob is a real person or a plant by Cliff because it says would Innes coach ?
It's specifically in reference to if Anthony took my spot on Team Scotland, though, not a generic question about me coaching. So that's fine. I can avoid that question for another week.
I choose to interpret it as you coaching and providing a coaching service. That's how I'm choosing to interpret it.
You can interpret it however you want. And if you can figure out how to make me not uncomfortable with that idea, then we can talk.
We can make
what I figured out, I figured that there is just like some exposure therapy stuff that we need to do with you in this topic.
It's probably true.
I think
we just need to get you your first client.
We just got to make you less less against the idea of coaching than you are the idea of your commute to your normal job, which can't be that hard.
Oh, Christ.
So what we need is somebody to volunteer to be Innes' first.
And that's why I've never coached anyone.
This is why we need somebody to be Innes' first coaching client. There you go. Somebody needs to volunteer.
Yeah.
And by volunteer, I mean pay money. And by pay money, I mean pay money directly to Innes.
Yeah. Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
At a price point yet to be determined.
Y'all scare me.
We're just being violently
just do the eBay way. I'll put it up and we'll just accept bids for the slots.
That might get out of hand fast because I would definitely bid that up and then not cash.
All right. Apparently, we've been given an example of an FLG board.
Hey, there we go.
Too much terrain for an FLG board.
I'm going to look at this and I'm going to be like, where's the terrain? And you can say it's too much.
That is right. But one of those pieces is split in half. And they're all boxes with windows. So good luck hiding.
There you go. That is the ITC standard Gothic Ruin set with Matt. Cool.
So I might bring demons because you can't hide anyway. And I might as well coin flip.
We'll talk about it when you're here.
Yep.
Are we not playing on GW Train at Mythicos?
No, we'll play on GW Train at Mythicos, but you're going to be here, so I can show you what a frontline board looks like.
That is true. That makes more sense. We should plug that. I'm going to be in the States in like 3 weeks. If you're at Anthony's event, Anthony, plug the event. I know it's not your event.
Crumpmas Clause. It's a charity event that Mythicos Malwa is running. There are details on their website, which Curie is really smart and probably has a link for somewhere that he'll throw in the chat and maybe in the episode description. So there will be lots of us there. I think Cliff's coming as well.
And
Curie. Yep. I knew Curie was coming. I know you're coming. I said, I think Cliff's coming. I will obviously be there as well. I'm going to be playing a Creations Bio list, so I'm going to do my best to sprint to my opponents really fast and then walk around and hang out. So that will win sometimes and lose other times. Who knows? Whee! So yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's on GW Train. It is importantly using the WTC ruling so that you can't make ruins unchargeable, so that GW Train gets roughly twice as pleasant to play on. Because without that ruling, that train can definitely be soft suffering sometimes. Yeah, it is going to be awesome. It'll be sweet. We flew Innes over for it, me and Brian. It's the friendliest type of bullying that exists. I don't even know if Brian's coming. I think he's just going to pat Innes on the ass in the Edinburgh airport and then send him on his way.
Literally what's happening. Because he decided he wanted to fly back to try and win Leicester again. So
I don't know. I'm still working on that. Brian's easy to peer pressure.
That is also very true.
So yeah. So
that is the 10th and 11th of December in somewhere in New Jersey.
Malwa, New Jersey. It's like on the border in New York. It's basically in New York.
basically.
Basically.
That's an American, basically, which is probably like 2 hours away.
No, it's 5 minutes from, like, you could walk across the New York border from the store.
That's cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's right there.
I'm going to be in the States for that. If you're in the States and you want to meet me, I think that's a thing you could do.
You can do it.
Otherwise, you'll see me at LVO. I'll bring like some Team Scotland dice as well that I can chuck at people if they want them. Yes, that's a good cross promotional thing. We should have stat check dice soon as well, which is cool.
Yes, you might be able to meet Ennis in New York City if you come around on the Friday. I'm going to drag him out to old Manhattan. So we'll see.
That seems like a really, really, really low-grade celebrity for a meeting in New York City.
I mean, you can meet like a real celebrity in New York City, or you can come see us.
It's true.
We're cooler,
you can
I promise.
Vacillate between the ones.
We'll definitely talk
to you. More approachable.
Which they may not.
You can probably take pictures with Ennis and talk to him.
Yeah, you're less likely to get stiff-armed by a huge security guard talking to us.
Well, it depends how stiff your arms are.
I'm just saying, maybe don't try me.
All right. Enough. I've seen and heard enough.
We need to go to more tournaments, guys. Like these episodes get real sketch when we're not playing tournaments.
Yeah, it's nonsense time.
Thank you, everybody, very much for being with us for what was definitely an episode of Stat Check. This was Horse Time, Ymyr-ly, a 60% win rate, episode 19 of Stat Check. I've been Binnis. This is Ambi and Dr. Statsdad. And thanks very much for being with us, guys. We'll see you next week, probably. Hopefully, I won't have a cough.
Bye-bye.
Screw you, Nathan.